President Trump imposed tariffs on all products of all countries, the US trade partners are freaking out. The US stock market comes crashing down and the US economy is heading towards a full-blown recession. But do we really understand how tariffs work? Hi, my name is Vitaly. I am an economist. I am a boring mainstream economist. And in this video, I am going to bust a few myths, lies and half-truths about Trump's tariffs. Let's play a game. Let's see how well you understand the tariffs. Here I'll be putting up quotes from the media and from Donald Trump, and you will tell me if such statements are true or false, fact or fiction. Ready? First, Mexico, China and Canada will pay Trump's tariffs. True or false? False. It's the Americans who will pay Trump's tariffs. Tariffs are taxes on America. Next, tariffs will bring manufacturing back. Most likely they will not. Next, tariffs will push prices up. Correct. Tariffs will drive prices for everything up. Trump is bringing high inflation back to the United States. Next, tariffs will reduce the trade deficit. Well, they may or may not. They did not reduce the trade deficit in Donald Trump's first term. Trump failed. If he failed in his first term, will he succeed suddenly in his second term? Most likely he won't. Next, Trump is giving America tax cuts. True or false? False. Tariffs are taxes, so that Donald Trump is leading the biggest tax hikes since the World War II. Tariffs will reduce the public debt. In theory, yes. In practice, highly unlikely. If you got some answers right, you are smart, analytical, and this video is for you.
We've been treated very unfairly as a country.
When the president slaps tariffs on goods from China, Mexico, Canada, the EU, Britain, he punishes them for crimes he imagined. Right? Wrong. It's Americans who will pay the American tariffs. First, it's the American importers who will pay the tariffs, and then they will dump those tariffs on consumers. So eventually, it's the American consumers who will pay the American tariffs. And tariffs are taxes. Tariffs are taxes, and as taxes, they hurt the poor the most. Yes, they will hurt everybody, the rich and the poor, but the rich spend a lot of money on stocks, bonds, art, private planes, private islands, and the poor spend their money on food. So tariffs will fall mostly on the poor and the middle class. President Trump promised to stand up for working Americans, and now he's punishing them. He promised tax cuts, the biggest tax cuts in history, and now he's raising taxes by using tariffs.
Going to be a manufacturing powerhouse and allow us to reclaim a supply chain that has been offshored to the world.
The media and the White House tell you that Trump's tariffs will bring manufacturing back. That Trump tariffs will punish foreign companies, reward American companies, so that the US will get manufacturing back. Let's look at Trump's plan. 1. Trump slaps tariffs on foreign goods. 2. Prices for foreign goods go up. 3. America buys less from abroad and develops its own manufacturing. 4. It's a golden age of America. Let's look at economics of tariffs. 1. Trump slaps tariffs on foreign goods. Yes, that happened. 2. Prices for foreign goods go up. Yes, prices will jump. 3. America buys fewer foreign goods. Let's stop here. Yes, that's correct, that when prices go up, consumers buy less. That's the law of demand in economics, that when prices go up, buyers buy less. But that means that Trump's plan implies poverty. If you're an American, if you can't afford paying the suddenly rising prices, that's part of the plan. Because only when Americans cut down on their consumption, Mexico, Canada and China will feel the pain. If Americans don't get poor, if they keep buying as much as before, then Canada, Mexico and China will be just fine. So poverty is part of Trump's plan. My dear American friends, are you ready for poverty?
We have to do. There'll always be a little short-term interruption. I don't think it's going to be big, but
back to step number 3. America buys fewer foreign goods and develops its own manufacturing. That may or may not happen. Companies may or may not bring their factories back to the United States. And 4, it's a golden age of America. Well, if the golden age implies rising prices, greater poverty and fall in living standards, yeah, sure, the golden age. Yeah! In my previous video, I discussed tariffs on steel and aluminum. And I made the case that tariffs on steel and aluminum and now tariffs on Canadian oil punish industries that use steel, aluminum and oil in their production. Now, any company that wants to bring its production back to the United States will face expensive steel, expensive aluminum, and now expensive energy. And that on top of high American wages. So Donald Trump is making America business unfriendly. Trump is making America more like Europe, and it's not a compliment. But still, can the US bring its manufacturing back? Is it possible? Yes, if there are Republican presidents for 10 years, if they keep on doing Trump's policies, then yes, the US will bring its manufacturing back. Chances of that happening are exactly 0. The media and Donald Trump personally tell you that tariffs will reduce the trade deficit, that tariffs will punish imports, reward exports, and reduce the trade deficit. Here is economics for babies. Even babies know that a trade deficit is when imports are greater than exports. When the US as a nation buys more from abroad than it sells to other countries. But when the United States buys a lot of foreign goods, it sends a lot of US dollars to other countries. Foreign governments and corporations and individuals accumulate a lot of dollars and they have a problem what to do with them. And they buy property in the US, stocks and bonds. So yes, the US sends a lot of money to other countries, but that money comes back to the United States in the form of investments and real estate. Now let's imagine that Trump succeeds. He won't, but let's imagine he does. Let's imagine he reduces the trade deficit. If there is no trade deficit, then imports will equal exports and there will be no extra dollars accumulating abroad. There will be no money coming back to the United States. So the elimination of the trade deficit will imply an immediate housing crisis. So we have 2 possibilities. 1. Trump fails. Trump tariffs don't reduce the trade deficit, which implies that Trump's tariffs were all for nothing, all for the show. But the second possibility is Trump wins. Trump's tariffs reduce the trade deficit. But that implies an immediate housing crisis, stock market crash and bond market crash. If Trump wins, the US will fail.
We just weren't treated right. We were ripped off as a country. I've been saying it for a long time.
Yes, it's true that other countries are selling more to the United States than they buy from the US. But that is the choice of the United States. America wants oil from Canada, precious metals from Mexico, equipment from China. That's the choice of America. Let me explain it this way. Imagine you wanted a cookie. So you go out and you buy a cookie. Does that mean that the seller of the cookie was treating you unfairly because he sold more to you than he bought from you? No, it makes no sense. You wanted a cookie, you bought a cookie. Good for you. The same with the United States. The US wanted foreign goods, it bought foreign goods. That's how capitalism works. It's not like evil Canadians grabbed naive Americans and said, "Buy my oil, take it, take it." By the way, this idea that exports are good and imports are bad, that's 18th century economics. That's what people believed in the 18th century. When did Donald Trump get his education? 300 years ago? President Trump demands that China stops trafficking drugs from China to the United States. By the way, can the Chinese government do it? And while we are on the subject, can the US government do it? Can the US government crack down on drugs inside the US? And if they can do it, why wouldn't they? If the US government is too weak, too powerless to do anything about drugs, why does Donald Trump think that the Chinese government is stronger? Why does he believe that the Chinese government can do something that his own government can't? And if he really believes that the US is too weak and China is so strong, that's not very patriotic. If he thinks so low of his own government and so high of the Chinese government, he should keep it to himself. But instead, he proclaims to the whole world that the US can't do anything about drugs, but the governments of China, Mexico and Canada can. This was my video. Trump's tariffs will push prices up and will bring manufacturing down. There is going to be high inflation and economic meltdown for the US economy. And while Trump promised tax cuts, he's giving America tax hikes. But what do you think? Do you support the president's policies? Put your comment below. Thank you for watching and I'll talk to you next time.